Hi everybody, Carl here, KE0JWK. So today we're going to get started on the capacitors, the home-built capacitors for the traps in the 20, 40, 75, 160 meter trap dipole. I've got one ready to go here. Get it in the frame so you can see what we're building. So this outer part is the 3/4 inch copper pipe. Then we've got the 1/2 inch C PVC, and then we've got the 3/8 OD copper tubing on the inside of it. Now the way these work is by sliding this inner part farther in or out is how we're going to adjust the capacitance on it. As you can see, hopefully you can see it here if I can get it in the frame. I've got some hot glue just to hold that CPVC in place. Just 3 dabs on each end is all it takes. Just don't make it easier to adjust without it sliding back and forth. So I've got some pipes prepped. Here's a 3/4. I drilled a hole in it. Little tip, if you don't have a drill press, which I do, but I was too lazy to go to the garage, so I did it with a hand drill. If you drill these from the inside, oops, let me get in the frame. If you drill these from the inside, it's a lot easier to hold your bit in place, because on the outside your bit wants to walk around and it's hard to get the hole started. Do it from the inside if you're using a hand drill, so you don't drill your hand or your finger. Makes it a lot easier. Other than that, just take some sandpaper, steel wool, wherever you have, clean it up a little bit. This tubing was actually some old stuff I had laying around, so as you can see there, it was pretty tarnished. I don't know if you can tell that in the frame or not, but you can see it was pretty tarnished. So I just chucked it up in my drill, held a piece of sandpaper around it, spun it in the drill, cleaned it up real nice. But now we're getting ready to solder. We want to clean the area where we're going to solder. You don't actually, I guess you don't have to drill a hole through these. I like a mechanical connection along with my solder joint. A couple of ways we can do this. I have a 140 watt Weller soldering gun that I use for heavy material like this. I take a piece of, instead of the, let me find one so in case you've never used one of these, instead of the typical tips that you buy, they heat up, they get pretty hot. But what I do for these is I just take a piece of number 10 or 12 copper, put a little hoop in it, tighten the nuts down on it, make my own tip. This short little hoop like this, these things get pretty hot pretty fast. That being said, we have a lot of mass here to heat up. If you've got a gun like that, that's great. If not, you could probably use something like this pencil torch. They fill up with butane. I use both. It's just whatever's most appropriate for the job. We're going to try this with the Weller. If it doesn't get it hot enough, then we'll move to the pencil torch. So we got it cleaned up. I'm going to apply a little flux to it and give this a whirl. We've got to tin it first because it's bad enough we've got to heat up all this mass to begin with. We don't want the wire in there also. So I'm going to see if I can get this thing hot enough, get it tinned. It's going to take a little bit. There it goes. It's starting already. This Weller 140 watt. If you got more than that for something like this, it's not going to hurt a bit. It's going to do nothing but help you. But with these short little homemade tips on here, it gets pretty darn hot pretty quick. They're not going to last, you know, as long as a typical plated tip is, but you know, It's taken me a 2 or 3 inch piece. I guess I probably have about a 3-inch piece of wire to make them when they do. Matter of fact, doing this one here, I burnt one in half, and that's the first time I've ever done that, and I've been doing my own tips like this for a long time. If you want a little more detail on it, I actually didn't get this from Mr. Carlson, but if you watch Mr. Carlson, he's got a little video on making the tips for these, and it was reassuring for me when I saw it, because I thought, well, I got to be the only nutcase doing this myself, but he actually uses them also for large mass things like this. Okay, so that's we got that one tinned. Let's get the other one tinned, and we'll set the, and then we'll put some wire in them. Get something to hold it with here, because you don't want to hold this pipe with your hand. They get it gets really hot, obviously. I guess if you put a leather glove on or something, you could probably do it, but this is just easier. It gives me a free hand for the solder also. Let's see if we can do any good with this one. And you can clean these tips up just like you do a normal tip. This ball of stainless stuff that I've got here works good to clean it up with. It gets pretty gunky, so I try not to use my my cleaner for my good soldering iron, but I've moved it around in there a few times too. There we go. That one tinned up. So much less mass. That one tinned up much faster, much easier. All right. So just a little bit of that. Cleaned it up. And let's see if this one's cool enough to mess with. I'm careful it is. Okay. So I'm using 12 stranded. It was had a THHN coating on it. I just stripped it off. I've got this a lot longer than I need to be, but I'll just cut it off later. So I'm going to fish this up through that little hole. I'm going to pull it up like so and take a pair of pliers. I'm still in the frame there, and just kind of smash it down a little bit. Make that connection a little bit straight. Okay. It's more or less how I want it. I've got it pretty much, if you can see that, flattened out along the pipe. Let's see if I can get something in here to hold it in place. And whatever it takes. A little pair of vice grips, needle nose vice grips like that, whatever you have handy. Just hold it in place so it's not moving around a bunch. A little bit of flux on the copper, on the wire. Find my solder, there it is. And let's see if we can get this heated up and soldered on. A little solder on the tip. I think she's going to go pretty good and pretty fast. It's got the wire hot, doesn't have the pipe hot yet. Go alongside that wire with the gun. Get that area we've tinned warmed up. It's a little bit tedious, a little bit of a pain, but nothing the average Joe can't handle, that's for sure. Because I'm below average and I can get it done. It might take me a little longer. Put that bit in here, make sure it's... It may not be the prettiest thing, but when I get done with it here, it'll be solid. Get my light over there a little so I can see a little better. Oh yeah, it's taken. keeps heating well. Let's take a look at it. I'm going to go out of the frame for a minute here so I can get it below my magnifier. Oh yeah, that looks good. I don't know if you guys can see that, but looks fine. Let's do the little guy, and really this is all there is. This is the hardest part of it, is soldering this together. Go through the hole there, pull it around, put a little squeeze on it just to flatten it out. And the only reason I'm doing that is so it has a better connection there. I mean, I've seen stuff put together, not by me, but I've seen stuff put together with wire just poked through the hole and blobs of solder put around it. I don't like doing that, but that works too, I guess. Do the best you can. It's definitely not brain surgery. Ooh, just about out of this size solder. I think I've got another roll. Hopefully I do, because I've got a bunch of these to put together. Get some light over here. Hopefully that's not washing it out on the camera. Thing warmed up real nice. That little one's just so much easier. That thing heats fast. Okay, let me get it under my magnifier and take a look. Oh, looks good on the one side, but not on the other. Support that wire real good and get this other side. So anyway, this is the adjustable capacitors. Real simple to make. If you notice, I left CPVC stick out beyond the copper on both ends, and I'm only running 100 watts, but if you're running more power, it's probably a good idea. It gives you a little more insulating area there, less chance of the capacitor arcing over. I'm not a power guy. 100 watts does me just fine. I'd rather build a good antenna than pump a bunch of power to something, but everybody has their own opinions on that. Okay, so there we go. We've got those soldered together. I'll put a piece of CPVC in there, hot glued in place, and then here is our adjustable capacitor. Simple as that. Next go around, we'll build the rest of the trap. Here's this is for the 20 meter trap. This is 1.5 inch PVC, which has about a 1.9 inch outside diameter. That's what I used for the coil design software. So what I've done, might as well get on this a little bit, and we can always go over it again later. But I found the center point of my length of pipe. I wanted it longer. Am I in the frame there real well? There we go. I wanted it longer than the capacitor, so I found the center point, and when we put this capacitor inside, we're going to try to center it. You need a little extra room in here to once this is adjusted, to have room to bend that wire up and solder it to the inductor leads. We're going to be using this type of a pipe cap. It's a test cap as opposed to a regular PVC fitting cap, which goes over the outside. Light duty, really no reason to put a big heavy cap on there. This is heavy enough, especially by the time you add the capacitor as it is. No sense in adding more weight. Plus these are like 30 cents a piece instead of a buck or whatever the buck and a half, whatever the other ones are. But there's just no need for it. The only reason I'm even putting them on there is just to keep winter snow and ice out of it. Which is also the reason that I'm putting the capacitors inside the inductor forms. I thought about hanging them underneath, but then I've got to deal with weather and stuff. Another thing I may do, if I've got any clear coat around here, since I have these soldered now, I might give everything a quick shot of clear coat just to keep this copper from tarnishing and corroding when it's out in the moisture and stuff, because there's going to get moisture in here. There's no two ways about it. If you seal it up, it's going to condensate. You've got holes where your wires are coming in, which you can seal up and put a drain hole, but there's still going to be some moisture present. So this copper can get tarnished and corroded, and I'm sure it will. Like I say, it's kind of it just depends on how persnickety you want to be about it. If I've got a can laying around, I'll shoot some on there. If not, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it, and I'm certainly not going to make a 30-mile trip to the store, 25-mile trip to the store to get some. But make sure, if you are, that you do your soldering first, and then you can coat them with some clear coat. All right, that's all for this go around. Thanks for watching. KE0JWK. Next time we'll roll the inductors, or wind the inductors.